105. Small grammar points. Source: howtostudykorean.com. Below is a list of vocabularies to be used in this lesson. Note: you may have learned some of those words already.
무너지다,
Means for something to collapse.
무너뜨리다,
Means to collapse something.
헝클어지다,
Means for something to be tangled.
헝클어뜨리다,
Means to tangle something.
부서지다,
Means to be smashed, crushed.
부서뜨리다,
Means to smash, crush something.
부러지다,
Means to be broken, fractured.
부러뜨리다,
Means to break, fracture something.
흐트러지다,
Means to be messy, untidy.
흐트러뜨리다,
Means to scatter, disperse.
구부러지다,
Means to be bent.
구부러뜨리다,
Means to bend.
누그러지다,
Means for somebody's heart to melt.
누그러뜨리다,
Means to melt somebody's heart.
터지다,
Means to explode.
터뜨리다,
Means explode, pop out of, break.
늘어지다,
Means drop, sag down.
늘어뜨리다,
Means let something hang, droop.
서구,
Means western.
서구화,
Means westernization.
현대,
Means modern.
현대화,
Means modernization.
일반,
Means general.
일반화,
Means generalization.
합리,
Means rationality.
합리화,
Means rationalization.
대중,
Means mass, popular.
대중화,
Means popularization.
평준,
Means standard.
평준화,
Means standardization.
다양,
Means diversity.
다양화,
Means diversification.
산업,
Means industry.
산업화,
Means industrialization.
상업,
Means commerce.
상업화,
Means commercialization.
가속,
Means acceleration.
가속화,
Means acceleration.
차별,
Means differentiation.
차별화하다,
Means differentiate.
간소,
Means simplicity.
간소화,
Means simplification.
활성,
Means vitality.
활성화,
Means vitalization. Introduction. The title of this lesson is Grammatical Principles That I Can't Believe I Haven't Taught You Yet, and I better teach them to you now before we get too deep into more difficult grammatical principles in Unit 5. In this lesson, you will learn a variety of smaller grammatical principles that you absolutely need to know to be able to speak, read, understand Korean. In the summer of 2014, I had a few weeks off from work and set a goal for myself to read a Korean novel in a week. I did this for two reasons. 1. I wanted to challenge myself and benefit from the vocabulary increase and reading practice I would get from reading the book. 2. I wanted to see if, in that entire book, there were any grammatical principles that I hadn't introduced in my lessons yet. From start to finish, there were only a handful of grammatical principles that I haven't introduced by this lesson. All of the grammatical principles that I haven't introduced yet will be in upcoming lessons. However, there were some small things that, when reading them, I realized I hadn't spent a large amount of time describing. I would like to take the opportunity in this lesson to teach you some grammatical principles that you probably should have learned before. By this point you may have already learned them somewhere else, but I never got around to teaching them to you. Enough of that. Let's get started. Tilde.
어지다 vs 엎드리다,
Okay, this one I actually have introduced. In lesson 38 I taught you the words
떨어지다,
and.
떨어뜨리다,
Though I mentioned those two words in the notes of that vocabulary list, I felt like I should formally introduce the difference between words ending in
어지다,
compared to words ending in.
엎드리다,
As I mentioned in that lesson, words ending in
어지다,
are often passive words that have an active
엎드리다,
equivalent. Note that this is not the grammatical principle
어지다,
that gets added to adjectives. For example,
나쁘다 플러스 어지다 나빠지다,
words ending in
어지다,
just like any passive verb cannot act on an object. Rather, it describes that something occurs, usually without indicating who what caused the action to occur. For example,
병이 탁자에서 떨어졌다,
the bottle fell from the table. However, words ending in
엇들이다.
have a subject, which is usually a human, but not always, that cause something to happen to an object person. For example,
나는 병을 떨어뜨렸다.
I dropped a bottle. I specifically wanted to introduce this here because a lot of the words I wanted to teach you in upcoming lessons had this
어지다 뜨리다.
form. Instead of introducing those words randomly throughout the next 20 lessons or so, I thought it would be better to introduce them all in one lesson and provide an explanation about them as well. Now, here is a host of other words that I would like to introduce you to that follow this same pattern.
무너지다.
For something to collapse.
무너뜨리다.
To collapse something.
헝클어지다.
For something to be tangled.
헝클어뜨리다.
To tangle something. Left parenthesis.
부서지다.
To be smashed, crushed. Already introduced in lesson 63.
부서뜨리다.
To smash, crush something. Left parenthesis.
부러지다.
To be broken, fractured. Already introduced in lesson 63.
부러뜨리다.
To break, fracture something.
흐트러지다.
To be messy, untidy, scattered.
흐트러뜨리다.
To make something messy, scatter things around.
구부러지다.
To be bent.
구부러뜨리다.
To bend something.
누그러지다.
For somebody's heart to soften, melt.
누그러뜨리다.
To soften, melt somebody's heart. Left parenthesis.
터지다.
To explode. Already introduced in lesson 36.
터뜨리다.
To explode something.
늘어지다.
To droop, sag down, hung down.
늘어뜨리다.
To droop something. Here are some example sentences of those words being used in sentences.
옷걸이가 완전히 구부러져 있어요.
The clothes hanger is completely bent.
저는 옷걸이를 완전히 구부러뜨렸어요.
I completely bent the clothes hanger.
내 핸드폰이 부서졌어.
My phone was smashed.
나는 내 핸드폰을 부서뜨렸어.
I smashed my phone.
건물이 무너졌다.
The building collapsed.
그 폭발은 건물을 무너뜨렸다.
That explosion collapsed the building.
건물이 쓰러졌다.
The building was knocked down.
바람은 건물을 쓰러뜨렸다.
The wind knocked down the building. Just as a quick note, years ago I was confused with the difference.
쓰러지다.
And,
무너지다.
as they essentially mean the same thing, a Korean friend of mine told me that,
쓰러지다.
as if something were to fall over, like a tree getting blown down. However,
무너지다.
is when something collapses within itself and doesn't topple over, like when somebody purposely implodes a building to collapse on itself to prevent debris from hitting the next building. The end result is the same, that both structures have been leveled to the ground, but the process of them falling is slightly different. Full stop. Ification
하하.
is a Hanja character that is found in many Korean words to mean change. Some very common examples are
변화, 체인지 화장실,
bathroom, restroom.
화학 이퀄 케미스트리.
If you have been keeping up with your Hanja studies, you should know the character for
화,
is
화, 화,
is often placed after the noun form of a
하다.
verb in Korean to indicate that the noun is now a noun of change. The most common way that this changes the translation of the noun is by the addition of ifikaton to the English word. For example,
국제,
international, global,
국제화,
changing into being international, global, which is better translated to
국제화,
internationalization, globalization. Other examples that you have already learned, and some that you haven't yet. I'm going to include the Hanja characters that I have introduced in here as well for those that are practicing. If you haven't started studying Hanja, I suggest that you take a look at the first 100 characters that I have introduced.
서구 이퀄 웨스턴 서구화 이퀄 위스터나이제이션 현대 이퀄 마든 현대화 이퀄 머더나이제이션 일반 이퀄 제너럴 반일반화 이퀄 지네럴라이제이션 이 반, 화 합리 이퀄 레이셔널러티和 리합리화 이퀄 레이셔널라이제이션 和 리화 대중
Mass popular.
중대중화 이퀄 퍼퓰러라이제이션 다 중, 화 평준 equal 스탠더드 평준화 equal 스탠다다이제이션 다양 equal 디버서티 다양화 equal 디버시피케이션 산업 equal 인더스트리 산업화 equal 인더스트리얼라이제이션 상업 equal 커머스 상업화 equal 커머시얼라이제이션 가속 equal 엑셀러레이션 가속화 equal 엑셀러레이션 차별 equal 디퍼렌시에이션 차별화하다 equal 디퍼렌시잇 간소 equal 심플리서티 간소화 equal 심플리피케이션 활성 equal 비텔러티 활성화 equal 비털라이제이션.
What's interesting is now you can add
하다,
to both the words with and without.
하다,
Just some examples.
산업화하다, 인더스트리얼라이즈 상업화하다, 커머셜라이즈 서구화하다, 웨스터나이즈 평준화하다, 스탠더다이즈 다양화하다, 디버시파이 현대화하다, 마더나이즈 일반화하다, 제너럴라이즈 합리화하다, 레이셔널라이즈.
Here are some example sentences of those words being used in sentences.
우리 웹사이트의 목표는 한국 문법을 간소화해서 쉽게 가르치는 것이에요.
The purpose of our website is to simplify grammar and teach it easily.
그 상황을 일반화하는 것은 어려워요.
It is hard to generalize that situation.
한국 고등학생의 성적을 표준화하는 것은 학생들의 입학에 도움이 된다.
The standardization of student grades in Korean high schools will help the student center university.
요즘에 그 회사가 브랜드를 더욱 국제화하려고 하고 있다.
That company is trying more and more to globalize its brand, adding
이,
to names. If a Korean name ends with a,
받침,
you'll commonly see
이,
added between the name and the particles.
는, 물결이 가,
And,
를,
from what I understand, this is entirely related to pronunciation. For example, if I say,
희연은,
this actually sounds closer to,
희연은,
which causes ambiguity as to what the person's name actually is her name,
희여,
or,
희연,
this would be the same with all names that end in a.
받침,
You should also know that even though there are a lot of letters in the Korean alphabet, you will probably only ever see the following used as the
받침,
on the final syllable.
을,
It's pretty simple, but something that you may not have come across yet. Remember that this is not done with names that end in a vowel. Just some quick examples.
기범이는 희영이를 만나러 어제 학교에 갔어요. 기범,
Went to school yesterday to meet.
희영 은혁이가 시험 준비를 하고 있어요. 은혁,
Is preparing for the exam. In all cases, it's not absolutely necessary to include this.
이,
For example, if you said,
기범은 희영을 만나러 어제 학교에 갔어요. 기범,
went to school yesterday to meet.
희영,
Everybody would still understand what you want to say. Korean people just say it sounds.
느끼해, 느끼해,
Is usually the word Korean people use to describe when they eat too much pasta, bread, or something greasy, although it is also used to describe the feeling one gets when they hear something so lovey-dovey that it is corny. It's hard even for me to completely understand this feeling of.
느끼해,
And even if I did understand it, it would be hard to explain in words. You're better off just using the rule of adding
이,
to names ending in a
받침,
to be safe, unless you are writing a romance novel and want to sound
느끼해,
adding
하다,
to adjectives. You have probably come across these sets of words before.
부끄럽다 부끄러워하다 슬프다 슬퍼하다 기쁘다 기뻐하다 부럽다 부러워하다 부러워하다 부끄러워하다
And other adjectives that have
하다
attached to them. What is going on here? What is the difference between these two forms? These adjectives above, and others like them, with
하다
attached are used in sentences when the speaker is talking, but the subject of the sentence is another person about another person. For example,
그는 너무 부끄러워했어요.
he was very shy. Notice the adjectives that I listed above. What is common among all of those adjectives? They're specifically describing a feeling that is elicited in somebody. If you are the speaker, and are describing somebody else, how can you know what they are feeling? In these cases, where the adjective being used is describing another person's feelings, it is more natural to add
하다
to the adjective. Your sentence would still be understood if you didn't attach this, but it sounds more natural with the addition. That is not to say, however, that you will never see a sentence like this.
그는 너무 부끄러웠어요.
He was very shy. It would be weird to say the sentence above, but you might be able to find a sentence like that in a novel. In novels, authors need to describe the characters in a book, who most of the time are just figments of their own imagination. Therefore, in this case, it would be acceptable to just use
부끄러워,
or,
부러워.
because the author knows for certain the emotion that is being elicited by the other person. In the case of adjectives that are not descriptions of one's feelings, but instead descriptions based on the opinions facts of somebody something else, adding
어하다.
is not necessary. For example,
그녀는 예뻐하다.
would sound weird, and it would be more natural to say.
그녀는 예쁘다.
You also may have noticed that
어하다.
is added to
쉽다.
from,
고 싶다.
which, you should know, acts as an adjective, to form.
고 싶어하다.
For example, instead of saying,
희영이는 밥을 먹고 싶어해.
Hyung wants to eat, remember that.
쉽다.
In these cases as an adjective, you can also see here that it fits in with all the other adjectives above, that it is describing the feeling within somebody. In all of the examples above, I indicated that adjective plus
어하다.
can be used when the speaker is not the subject of the sentence, and is specifically used with words that describe a feeling that one experiences. Therefore, these would, typically, be incorrect by themselves.
제가 너무 부끄러워했어요. 제가 너무 기뻐했어요. 제가 너무 슬퍼했어요. 제가 너무 부러워했어요.
In the examples above, if I changed the subject to another person, the sentences would be correct. However, it is acceptable to use the
어하다.
form of an adjective when the speaker is the subject of the sentence if there is an object in the sentence. For example, all of these are correct.
제가 가난을 너무 부끄러워했어요.
I am shy about of my poorness, the fact that I'm poor.
제가 친구의 성공을 너무 기뻐했어요.
I am happy glad about of my friend's success.
제가 친구의 죽음을 너무 슬퍼했어요.
I am sad about of my friend's death.
제가 남의 성공을 너무 부러워했어요.
I am envious about of others' success. It is actually possible to remove the objects in the sentences above, but only if the object can be immediately assumed from the context. This is essentially the same as changing
좋다.
to
좋아하다.
and
싫다.
to.
싫어하다.
You couldn't just walk into a room and say, left double quotation mark.
나는 좋아해.
Instead, you need an object to specify what it is specifically that you like. For example,
나는 과자를 좋아해.
however, if your friends were all talking about
과자.
and were going around the room one by one and saying if they liked it or not, you could respond with just,
나는 좋아해.
in that same respect. You couldn't just say the examples above unless there was some sort of immediate understanding of what object was being referred to. Formal subject marker.
께서는.
In addition to the subject marking particles
는.
and
이가.
that you have known forever, the particle
께서.
can also be used to indicate the subject of a sentence. The difference here is that
께서.
is an honorific subject marker, which means it is added to people who deserve a high amount of respect. For example,
아버님께서 밥을 드셨습니다.
the father ate.
우리 부장님께서 오늘 오후에 출발할 예정이십니다.
Our boss is scheduled to depart this afternoon.
지금 교장 선생님께서 잠깐 말씀을 하시겠습니다.
Now, the principal will speak. I hear this every week at my staff meetings at school.
이 잡채는 장모님께서 만드신 것이에요.
This
잡채.
was made by my mother-in-law.
할아버지께서 옛날에 런던에서 사셨어요.
Our grandfather lived in London a long time ago. This can be done anytime somebody deserves a lot of respect, but it isn't completely necessary. Failing to use the honorific
요.
or
습니다.
forms when speaking to somebody who deserves respect would most likely get you thrown out of the room. However, very few people would use the subject marker.
께서.
On a daily basis, it's usually reserved for very formal situations. It's also quite common to see.
는,
Added to.
께서,
It could have no function at all, or it could have one of the many subtle functions that
는,
carries with it. In all cases, it totally depends on the context of the conversation. Nonetheless, all the example sentences above could have
는,
added to.
께서,
For example,
아버님께서 밥을 드셨습니다.
the father ate.
아버님께서는 밥을 드셨습니다.
The father ate, but somebody else, maybe the mother, didn't. For more info, please visit howtostudykorean.com.